In the aftermath of the recent mass shootings in both New York and Texas, the US House of Representatives has passed a gun control bill with 223 votes. The bill would raise the minimum age for the purchase of certain firearms. The age limit will be revised to 21 years, up from 18 years. It'll also toughen prohibitions on untraceable guns.
On this vote, the yeas are 223, the nays are 204. The bill is passed. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
There have been more than 250 mass shootings in the United States this year alone. The US government has been facing increased pressure to try and pass gun control legislation. However, the latest bill is unlikely to get approval when it faces the Senate. Rather than pushing for a quick vote on the sweeping House bill, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer wants to give more time to bipartisan negotiations. The focus will be on improving mental health programs, bolstering school security, and enhancing background checks. Democrats and Republicans are deeply divided on gun reforms. Republicans strongly support the right to keep and bear arms, as protected by the Second Amendment of the US Constitution. They've objected to proposals like the limited sale of assault rifles used in the Uvalde massacre.
The Speaker started by saying this bill is about protecting our kids. That is important. Sure is. That's what she said. Protecting our kids is important. Yes, it is. But this bill doesn't do it. What this bill does is take away Second Amendment rights, God-given rights, protected by our Constitution from law-abiding American citizens. That's what this legislation does, and that's why we should oppose it. Madam Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time.
Our WION correspondent Susan Tarani is joining us live from New York City to give us more details on this one. Well, Susan, this legislation that has passed the House, it has done so quite easily with support from Democrats, but it's expected to struggle in the Senate. Why is that?
Right, exactly. So the Senate is actually working on a more modest deal that it hopes will pass on a bipartisan line, focusing more on mental health issues in light of the Uvalde shooting, on school safety issues, and also perhaps not so much on universal gun control and universal background checks, but also work on what the House is doing right now, which is the provision to really close the loopholes that effectively ban bump stocks, which is turning regular guns into automatic machine guns. The ban of bump stocks was actually put in place during the Trump administration after that shooting in Las Vegas, you may remember, and the House passed a bill just yesterday, trying to really fill up the loopholes regarding that. The Senate might play up on that, and then there are those red flag laws that we've been talking about that might probably also get passed in the Senate in some way, shape or form as well. The House is expected to vote on those red flag laws, by the way, today as well. 18 states across the United States have those laws. We'll see whether or not they'll be expanded to other states as well. New York was one of them. And just a caveat there, that Buffalo shooter did sort of fall through the cracks of New York's red flag laws when it went on that shooting spree earlier a few weeks ago.
So, Susan, is there anything more that the White House can do, especially as we've seen President Biden calling for much tougher restrictions, for example, banning assault weapons?
Right. So Based on the U.S. Constitution, the states usually have the authority, as we saw, in New York, to really go after legislation like gun control. We saw that, as I mentioned, in New York just recently this week, where it passed sweeping gun control legislation. On a federal level, it's up to the House and the Senate to go ahead and do that, and we're seeing that sort of in action. The president's party controls both House and the Senate, although they do need that 60 vote in the Senate to really pass some kind of federal law. But when it comes to how far the president can go, I think on the Republican side, at least, there was some kind of hope that the president would sort of bring the party together and try to find a unified consensus, because he knows very well that a universal ban on assault weapons would not favor very well for the red states or the Republican Party, yet he still seems to hammer on that issue, and by doing that, it kind of sort of has created more divisions and animosity between the two sides. But both sides are saying that this time is different. The Uvalde shooting really did touch a raw nerve, especially after that heartfelt testimony by the 11-year-old yesterday on Capitol Hill. And I think if anything will be done, it'll definitely be something at least in the line of school safety.
Susan Triney joining us live from New York City. Thank you, Susan.